Sorenanenake sareninia mekisiki. Welcome. Saretake sareninia mekasaidakane mekasitiki. In today's episode, we're talking about I don't carry, I flow. Sorenanenake sareninia meka. But before we start with that episode, let's close our eyes if that feels safe for you. Let's take a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth, let it go. And again, deep inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth, let it go. Last time, deep inhale through the nose, hold the breath this time, and then set up your intentions for that which you're meant to receive. So any kind of transmission, any kind of clicking or light bulb going on for you as you're listening to this episode. Whenever you're ready, exhale. Welcome, beautiful, welcome. So caring. This is something so, how can we put this into words? So let me first go back into how I received this message. And I have so much reverence for plant medicine. I have so much reverence. When I speak about plant medicine, I'm not just speaking about cacao, about ayahuasca, or rapé, or San Pedro. I'm literally talking about plants in general, even herbs, because they are medicine. But I have so much reverence to the plant world, to our allies, because they're so wonderful. And I received so many messages through them. And one of the messages as I was relaxing a few months ago was, I don't carry, I flow. And it just made so much sense to me, because especially being in the spiritual path consciously, we get into our heads about, at least I did for sure, and also like some of my clients and students, about all this ancestral healing that we have to do, and all this trauma that is stored in us, and all these things our lineage just gave us, and then we are the ones that have to break it, and then we're just like, oh my gosh, this feels like so much. And for sure, like it can really feel a lot. However, you are the one that chooses to hold that into you or to let it go and flow. And this is what we're talking about this, because this is so important. Spiritual beings, at times we might forget, because you can really get so deep into this like shadow world and inner work and healing and blah, 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 blah. And maybe even get some addiction out of it, because then we're like, we're constantly like working through ourselves, and we might forget the beauty of the other side of the journey. Yeah. Meaning, the connections. Of course, yes, we do this inner work because we're worthy, and because we really just want to get back into ourselves, into our center, and just be, just be the joyful beings that we are. But sometimes when we are doing the inner work, we do forget that there's a light aspect of it. So if you're so into this whirlwind of your shadow worlds, at times it can get, not all the time, it can get very addictive, because it's like, okay, what else do I have to work on? Or what else do I have to release? Or what else do I have to say thank you to my lineage, because you gave me all this ancestral shit, right? And we're so in it that we forget to actually have fun in our life. And life is just also about having fun. Why do we do all this inner work? It's because we can enjoy it even deeper, and just enjoying yourself too. And so here we are. Yes, you do come into a lineage that has been carrying a lot of baggage. And because you are in the lineage, you immediately get it. Yeah. I do believe, and based on my experience and my own work, and my own inner work, that I chose my family, that I chose this baggage that I was going to carry. And I chose it because I deeply believed that the family lineage that I'm in needed a little push. And when I'm talking about a little push, I don't mean like, bam. when I talk about it, what I mean is just a little spark of love, a little seed into their system so they can remember who they are. They can remember that inner love that is always there, and the connectivity. The connectivity. So good. So good. So therefore, I was like, all right, let's do this. Let's do this. And based on my experience and my remembrance, I chose also the people around me that will also guide me into finding back my truth, into the remembrance of my truth. So then I can serve well in this lineage that I am in. But of course, at the beginning of all this work, there was a little bit of blame for sure. I'm not going to lie, because I saw and I felt, I lived it, of course, just like you're living your own release, ancestral trauma. I felt it deeply, how all the shadows were just being the puppeteers of my family, and myself included, and all these things were so deep that is like, holy moly. To release this is just really intense. And of course, at that moment, like blaming the lineage and all these things, right? And I really do feel that it's part of the whole process. So if you are in that part of the journey, don't even feel bad about it, because we're humans. We're having this experience. And of course, at the beginning, it's so much easier to blame others than having the courage to say, like, okay, I chose this family, right? Or you might actually have the awareness that you did choose the family, but still, you're saying, okay, I chose this family, but not really believing it in a way. And that's normal. It's okay, so have some compassion and some lightness in the journey as well. Because again, first of all, you chose it. Yes, for sure. We chose it. Yeah. But the other thing is that you chose it because you knew you could, and because you are doing the work. And that, in the other flip side of it, your ancestors, okay? So all these people that maybe or maybe not you have blamed for all this baggage, they knew what they were doing. And this is what amazes me about this journey, that as funky as it sounds, literally, as funky as it sounds, they knew that you were going to show up to break all of that. They knew that you were going to have the courage to say enough. Like, this is enough. This is ridiculous. This is what I said. This is ridiculous. All right, let's stop this. And so every single ancestor that passed through, and this baggage was being passed through, they knew that somebody in the lineage will come through to just say, like, all right, time out. Why are we carrying this? This is, again, my word, ridiculous. This is ridiculous. We don't need to carry this in our systems. And why are you still mad at that person? So why is this still rolling maybe 100 years down the road from like something that happened so long ago? And what's going on? Literally, what's going on? Very similar to if anybody in your family got pissed at each other and they stopped talking for years, and then they don't even remember why they stopped talking to one another. It's a little similar, okay? And so in here, of course, the very conscious part of your ancestors, the new, that you were going to show up and just say enough, knew it, and they were like, all right, so we can continue to pass down this ball. And the other unconscious part, of course they were suffering, and they had no idea. There was no that conscious awareness that like said to them, you don't need to carry this. Or maybe they did have the conscious awareness that they didn't need to carry it, but that just felt so fearful. And who can resonate for that? For sure. I definitely felt fearful in my journey, but then I went with it. I went with my heart. Yeah. Just like I'm quite certain that you're doing the same thing. But what matters here is that you showed up in this lineage, that you showed up with your courage, that you chose this particular dot in existence to say that, yes, I can. Yes, I can choose what I put in my system. I can choose what I carry. I can choose what I want to grab from my lineage. And also, I can choose what I want to grab from anywhere else that I really deeply believe that will help me and the rest of the planet. Of course, your lineage as well. And so this is really, really important, yeah? Because whenever we get into the shadow work, at times it's just like, again, very addictive, but we can hold on to something so deeply, and sometimes we're not consciously aware that we're holding it. And at times this is the reason why it can hurt. Whenever you've done a process to let something go, yeah, at times it might feel like it's so much and it hurts so deeply, and whatever happens in your process. I will give you an example of my process. So when I was going through the really deep trances of the Kundalini awakening, my body will scream, will move like fish out of the ocean with no water, doing intense back bends that in my asana practice, in my yoga practice, I was still like working through, and scream and just holding my head like I was going to explode. And it was intense. Yeah, it was intense. And I do believe that I needed to go through that in order to do the work that I do now. But years down the road, okay, it wasn't just 1 month after or so, years down the road, as I was going through a process, and one of the plant medicines was like, okay, just relax and let this energy pass through you. You don't really need to hold onto this energy. It doesn't need to hurt. And so guess what? Rather than being an hour or 30 minutes or how long the processes were back in the day, it was like literally less than 5 minutes. I felt the energy moving through me, and of course the emotions, and I cried, my body cracked, and then it went off because I chose to let go of it. I chose to integrate it in the most beautiful way. And this is what the energies were guiding me. That at times, yes, at the beginning, if you don't really have the guidance, if you don't really know what you're doing in a way, if you're doing it by yourself, like I started my journey, then, it could be very painful because we're not aware that we're actually holding on to tightly to a part of our identity, meaning the baggage. Yeah. And then just we hold it all so tightly. Then of course, imagine if you're holding your teddy bear so tightly. Of course, I'm going to go into that. My inner child gets so happy when I'm hugging my unicorn. So let's go into the unicorn, okay? So imagine, or if you can imagine me holding my unicorn so tightly, then somebody's trying to like take my unicorn away, and I'd be like, no, like, so like I'm holding it so tightly, and of course like it's gonna hurt because I'm like this, trying to hold it onto me, and maybe it rips off and then I cry. And this is something similar that happens in the process, because we're like, no, we're so identified with that baggage. Because it's normal in the family. Well, this is how we are, whatever. But in reality, whenever you realize, okay, that was a gift. Yeah, that was a gift. This baggage is a gift. Why is it a gift? Because the moment that you realize that you can let it go, you go back into yourself. You go back more into your truth, into your own authentic experience, into more your very authentic self. And so rather than holding off so tightly this, like you're going to lose it, like you will never remember it, like, or being afraid of letting it go because you have no idea what's going to happen, just softening up that and being curious of like, what if I actually gift this? Let me repeat this again. What if I gift this to the world? What if I let it go? Then what will happen? If I let this go with so much gratitude and love, like a gift, I'm gifting this to the energies outside of myself. So then the energies can alchemize it. And then I can go back into what I feel like is my truth. Bam. So simple. And I'm literally telling you, it's so simple. Sometimes we say like, oh my gosh, it sounds so simple. And like, it's not. And I'm telling you because of experience, it literally is that simple. When you choose, yeah, when you're seeing these patterns being repeated with your mom and your dad or in your family or whatever it is, and then you just like see it so clearly and like, no, I don't choose to carry that anymore. And I'm not going to say that this is going to be a process that is immediately, yeah, of course, because there's so much roots of this baggage in a way, yeah, of the cycles inside of you too. But then you can soften into it, and then you become more aware whenever that happens in your life. Whenever you act that way, be like, oh, all right, let's go back. We have chosen not to carry that. And so whenever you decide, whenever you make, literally, when you really say out of the depths of your being, when you set up that intention, remember, intention is your access point, and everything in you softens up. It's like a domino effect. You tell the intention within yourself, and throughout yourselves, and your whole energy begins to spread out. So your whole being knows. If it's coming this way, it's like, wait a second, no. Our field is saying no, because we chose not to carry that anymore, that vibration. And we're actually calling in and rooting into our system a higher vibration, a more elevated, more conscious. Yeah. Not that it's better or worse, just more conscious. And so then what happens? That whenever that energy wants to circulate around you, or even if you're witnessing somebody about your family, it just moves around you. It doesn't like come in and roots into your system again to make it more challenging to let go of that cycle, because you chose what you carry. And then living life like that is more enjoying. And then living life like that is more joyful. Super, super more joyful. And then there's no more blame. How heavy is that? Even when I say blame, I feel the heaviness in my chest. It's so heavy to just blame it on your lineage, on your dad, or saying, or your mom, like, oh, this is how we are because of this family part. Or, this is how we are because that's how we've been. No. Yes, that's how it's happened, that's how it played out. But then you are that point, that access point, that you literally have all the power in you, and you are supported by the whole universe and life to go in a different route, and also liberate the ones in your family. They are no longer present in a physical side, in a physical way. How beautiful is that? How beautiful is that? So I invite you that whenever you see these things come up in you, just really question, do you really want to carry that? Do you want to contribute on the cycle and continue to move it and pass it along? Or do you want to be that dot in existence that shifts everything in your lineage? Powerful, powerful. I trust this serves you so well, and I will see you next time. Blessings. Ciao.